As part of the risk management process in initiation, we create what we call a risk register, which is a document, Excel, Word, or the likes, that where we will list all the risks and the impact, likelihood, and severity, and the action that we take. So this is a register that has already pre-filled with a few examples. So I'll give you an example of each one of the outcomes that we discussed. So if we start with the first one, we put a risk number, we put a date raised, we put a risk description here, a word on this red part, if and then. It's good practice, and it will make you look good if you use this. I think it's a very good way to describe a risk using if then. Otherwise it can become very fluffy. You can say, oh, what if this happens, and the impact is not clear. So that really forces you to log your risk in a very structured way, and it makes the impact very clear as well. So if the flight is cancelled, then the budget will be impacted. So what is the impact? We have put the impact here as major. We have decided the likelihood is possible. We go back into our major and possible. Major here, possible here, gives us a severity of high. So the severity is high. We need to allocate an owner for each risk. If it's, if it stays open, so who will be, actively managing the risk, and if the risk occurs, who will address it. So it's very important that if you are the project manager, to avoid to have your name here, unless it's really a project management risk. But it's not always a project management risk. Sometimes you have to, like for the issue log that we will see later on, you need to make sure that someone actually owns the risk, monitors it for you, keeps an eye on it for you, and is ready to action if the risk takes place. So that will be reviewed also as part of the risk roles and responsibilities. It's very important to have a stakeholder responsible for each of the project component. The action, so we have decided that we will be transferring this risk. And we took travel insurance, for instance. That could be an option to transfer it. You pay a premium up front. This way you avoid the risk. The risk is still open, obviously. It could still occur. But if it does occur, then you know what to do. You have an outcome, you have an action, you have someone to do it. So this is the first example, transferring the risk. If we go to the next line, if there are train strikes in Paris, for instance, very unlikely, I know, but then we will not be able to travel to Madrid. The plan, go on holidays, your plan is to take the train from Paris to Madrid. So the impact, you rate it as major. It's unlikely. But if you look in your matrix and you notice the severity is still marked as high. So the owner will be John, and here you've decided to avoid the risk. Yeah, I don't want that risk to occur. I don't even want to be worried about it, so I want to avoid it. So forget about the train. I will rent a car instead. And then you can close that risk. This is not a risk anymore. So you don't want to drag this risk along with the project with you, because it's closed. Someone raised it, you've avoided it, so closed, gone. There is the next risk, the risk number 3, say, it's if it's raining heavily during the week, then the camping trip will not be comfortable. Bit of an understatement, but it's just to give you a very simple holiday example. So the impact, you see it as moderate, it's not the end of the world, and the likelihood is unlikely, and that gives you severity only of medium. So it's not high, it's a severity of medium. So the poor John is still responsible for this, responsible for everything, but you decide to accept this risk, and you close that risk. You say, yeah, it might rain, yes, I'm aware of it, thanks for raising it, but I accept it. Or you wouldn't have these two risks like this in a risk register, because you would take one of the two actions. But just for this this example, that's why I've in 3A, 3B. If you have the same risk here, same impact, likelihood, severity, same owner, You would decide instead to mitigate it. So you would plan some indoor activities just in case. So you would, I don't know, bring some board games. You would just prepare yourself before your holiday project start. You would prepare some activities to play indoors. So if this risk comes, then you know what to do. And this risk stays open because you don't accept it. You mitigate it. It's the difference with this one. Final example of a risk. If there are buses going to the beach, then we will not need to hire a car, and then we can save some money. That's an example of a positive risk. So the impact is moderate, the likelihood is possible, so the severity, quote unquote, severity being positive severity is high. John is still the owner. Action.com, you exploit this risk. Yes, we're aware this risk will happen, and if it happens, yeah, we can use the money saved to buy movie tickets, for instance. I think it shows well what is a positive risk and how it can be exploited. I think the fact of having a positive risk is not very that easy to understand. So I think with this example, hopefully that makes it slightly clearer.